Today's session is super exciting, actually. We have some facts and figures that will kind of help you guys understand the importance of using Mileage Quest and sort of those consequences when you don't have that proper system put in place. And so that's why today's title is Your Miles, Your Money, the Smart Way to Save with Mileage Quest. And so I did want to introduce myself. My name is Bridget Flint. I am the marketing manager of Mileage Quest, and I will be hosting today's session. Yay! Alrighty, so as we kind of wait for some other individuals to come on, I would like for you guys to follow us on our LinkedIn. Next slide, please, Rochelle. Yeah, so there's a QR code to make it easy for you, or we have our handle at Mileage Quest. This is also the same handle for all of our other social platforms, in case you want to do a little bit of stalking there as well. But we definitely invite you guys to connect with us on LinkedIn. We post a lot of informational content, any updates about the app or events that we're attending or hosting, and of course the MQ&A, so you can be informed of all our themes and our guest speakers as well. So definitely looking forward to connecting with you guys there. All righty. Well, I'm sure some other attendees will kind of come in as we go through the session, but for timing's sake, let's just get started. Next slide. Okay, thanks, Rochelle. So I wanted to give kind of an understanding about what Mileage Quest actually is, right? So we are an automatic mileage tracking app that basically streamlines that mileage management process for individuals and businesses. So historically, it's a very tedious and manual process, having to, document mileage either using a booklet or an Excel file, whatever it may be. And so our founders, Sean and Tamara Washington, actually come from a CPA and IRS auditor background. So they have firsthand experience kind of knowing what it's like and what the pain point is for their clients when it comes to wanting to deduct their mileage or actually have their mileage reimbursed, right? And so it was very stressful when it came to tax season. And so they wanted to build a solution that helped not only their clients, but themselves. So from the entire process of tracking all the way to the reporting process, they built Mileage Quest in order to really make this more efficient and less of a hassle for everyone involved. And so I kind of wanted to set the stage with some facts and figures. Next slide, please, Rochelle, on really what those hidden losses and costs are for manual logging. So first and foremost, really is that time wasted on manual entry. I mean, when you're on the go every single day, multiple times a day, the reality of you sitting down and actually having your starting location, your ending location, putting information such as your odometer, the description, it's just highly unlikely, right? It's not efficient or effective for that individual. And so a lot of the time they're seeing an average of 4 to 8 hours per month spent just on that manual entry, necessity. And so that actually equates to around 48 to 96 hours per year or upwards to 12 full work days. So when you're on that employee side, I mean, that's highly ineffective, right? You don't want your employee working 12 full days out of the year just writing down facts and figures. So, this is something that is highly avoidable when you put a solution like Managed Quest in place. And just to kind of quantify that numerically or with the cost really is if you have an employee that's working, say, 25 hour for $25 an hour, that's, upwards of $2,400 lost in annual productivity. So, absolutely there's better ways to utilize those resources and, not wanting them to focus on mileage management at all. And so kind of within that is the inaccuracy and incomplete logs. So there's a pretty high error rate of manual logs, which is at 25 to 30%. So this comes from miscalculations, missed trips, forgotten entries. So say you're going, you're traveling and you're rerouting. That's something that's not going to be calculated because it's just something that you're not documenting right then and there. And so having a system in place that's able to do so for you automatically is a game changer. Because when you see out of, a general business professional that's traveling $15,000 or 15,000 miles per year, that's a $10,500 deduction. But even on the, lower portion of what that figure is of 20% underreporting, that means over $2,000 are lost annually, okay? And you multiply that by with an entire workforce. I mean, this is just something that is really inefficient and ineffective and definitely, kind of needs some technology to help mitigate. So, kind of going forward, I also wanted to tackle that HR aspect of it as well. There are some independent contractors that are going to kind of see those pain points, but it really shows itself throughout the entire organization through many different workflows. So, for sure, it is that administrative hassle. So, having to chase down an employee and kind of figure out what happened with this certain trip, why isn't it being documented, what happened, is just not effective for anyone. And when it comes to recreating that mileage log, it creates a compliance risk, right? So the IRS has very, very specific requirements about what you need to actually claim a reimbursement or a mileage deduction. And when these are incomplete or incorrect, some businesses actually face up to $250 in penalties per missing log entry, which is just absolutely insane. So something that's definitely avoidable. And on the employee side, it's, sometimes frustrating when it takes ample amounts of time to kind of recover this because now you're getting delayed payments and it might not hit your paycheck for, even 2, 3 months after that initial trip was taken. And so overall, it's just, something that not a lot of businesses might have at the forefront of, their minds. But when you see it aggregated and how it impacts the total overhead, it definitely, something for people to consider. I mean, when you look at mobile workforces, they spend an average of $50,000 annually on those mileage reimbursements. But due to, the need for estimations and or mileage fraud, they tend to overpay by $5 to $10,000 per year per employee. So again, just think about how that affects your business overall when you have even just 10 or 20 employees that are on the go using their personal vehicles. So now I'd like to get into how Mileage Quest actually helps alleviate some of these pain points. And so that comes into our, 4 pillars of functionality. So first and foremost is our bread and butter of automatic mileage tracking, right? So MQ actually works in the background of the app, so you don't have to go in and actually toggle anything for it to know that you're taking a trip. It triangulates with your location, GPS, services, so that it knows exactly when you're moving, what that location is, and then when you're stopping, right? And then it puts all that information into the trips portion of the app so that you can go and save it and classify it as you may. So that kind of brings me to our next pillar, which is that classification portion. And so something a little bit unique with Mileage Quest is the ability to capture medical and charitable mileage outside of just business mileage. So this is great for people in the MPO space that go and do volunteer work and also work as an employee on behalf of that organization. We have some little bios for each sort of classification so that how you're supposed to segment that mileage and just make it effortless and with 100% accuracy. And then we do have our calendar synchronization piece as well, which is my favorite part of the app. And it's the ability to actually integrate with your digital calendar. And you can pre-populate the app with those fields that your calendar is already populated with and bring them into Mileage Quest. So this is great if you want to recover previous trips. I know the IRS has some limitations in terms of how far back you can go, but MQ is able to go back indefinitely. As far as your calendar will go, it'll go back that far as well and capture that information for those trips. And once you do travel, it will automatically put that into your events tab. So there is not any manual aspect of what you had to do in Mileage Quest. It all happened from your calendar app, which is amazing. And then it's taking all of that information from each different stage and building automatic IRS compliant reports. So that is your mileage reimbursement report, your annual tax report, and of course your vehicle insight reports as well. So we'll get into a little bit of that in the next slide, but there is some, various advantages that you can uncover when you have a total view of what your trips and what your driving habits look like. All right, next slide, please. Yes, so the importance of calendar integration. So if you see here on the left, it is a new trip basically on the Mileage Quest app. And all of this information was actually brought in from a calendar setting. So that title, the client name, the description, and of course, once that trip was actually made, it put in that from and to location. And then all of that gets funneled into our beautiful mileage reimbursement report. And again, this would basically act as your digital mileage log on the employee side, but it has everything that you would need and that the IRS requires for documentation to be able to, support them giving you that reimbursement or deduction back. Next slide, please. All right. And so just to kind of close out with how, Mileage Quest actually impacts you when it comes to savings. On that individual basis, you're seeing $1,200 plus in recovered time, $2,000 plus in optimized tax deduction. So over $3,000 in total savings. And that's just for one individual that's switching from a manual method to Mileage Quest. And then, of course, businesses reap all of those benefits multiplied by their number of employees. And also, they're seeing savings of $5,000 plus per employee because of the reduced mileage fraud and overpayments. And then, of course, you can't quantify the exact amount that you're saving in terms of compliance and efficiency gains. It will definitely vary between each organization, how they're structured. But just given the figures that I presented today, you can multiply them and, create a bunch of hypothetical situations in which Mileage Quest is definitely allowing you to save some of that money. So definitely a positive there. And then with that, I did want to close out with some recent news. So we are on the iOS and Android platforms, Android more recently. So if you have been waiting to be onboarded, then right now is the time to do so. In the follow-up email, you will have some resources available that can book download with us, or of course, just download the app on the Google Play Store yourself. And then for those that are currently on the app right now, we definitely want you to turn on your in-app notifications so you can be made aware of our latest app updates. We are actually in a sprint right now, so we're constantly rolling out some updates for you guys to make sure you have the best app, the best version of Mileage Quest rather. And then if you do have any questions, comments, or want to provide feedback, then definitely reach out via the feedback tab in the app, or you can message us through our contact portal in the website. Next slide, please. And then if you have any interest in becoming a partner, we have just recently opened up this aspect of Mileage Quest for you to be able to sell Mileage Quest on your behalf and receive a commission. You can scan the QR code and fill out the form, or you can reach out to Ray Ferrer, who is overseeing our partner sales, and he'll get you all set up with what you need to become a partner.